Hello everyone, my name is Trevor, I go by TheMrTrails, welcome to the channel. In today's video we'll be going over 5 pretty major differences between Monster Hunter Rise and Dauntless. I will include some things about the new Sunbreak DLC, but I won't give any monster or storyline spoilers or anything like that. And now that I've played Monster Hunter Rise more thoroughly, I can make these sort of videos. Before we get into it, by next week I will be giving away a copy of Monster Hunter Rise base game or the Sunbreak DLC to a lucky winner on this video. All you have to do is drop a like on the video, be subscribed to the channel, and drop a comment down below what's your favorite monster or behemoth from either of these games. And no, commenting multiple times won't increase your chances, so don't bother. I've also been doing these giveaways over on the Twitch, where your odds of winning will actually certainly be better. The link is in the description. So let's get started, and first and foremost, the main obvious difference between these games before even booting them up is their price tag. Dauntless is the free-to-play alternative to Monster Hunter, where from there you might make microtransactions for cosmetics, whereas Monster Hunter comes with a price tag inherently. The games are on sale right now. You can pick up Monster Hunter World with the Iceborne DLC for $35 on Steam right now, and since it's newer, you can pick up Monster Hunter Rise and the Sunbreak DLC for about double that. With that price tag though, does come more general polish to the gameplay, and when there's bug fixing, it usually becomes permanent. In a smaller difference between the games, the Dauntless team patches the game once every 2 or 3 weeks, whereas Monster Hunter updates will come less frequently, but with those added features having been tested more thoroughly. And with that, even a large Dauntless update would likely be considered a small Monster Hunter update. But if you've never played a game of this monster fighting genre and wanted to try before you buy, Dauntless is capable of doing that, and with it being free, new players start playing the game all the time. Beyond the price tag, another very basic major difference between the games is the expected kill times. Dauntless is referred to as a more arcade style of Monster Hunter, where the kill times are much shorter. Even in the most difficult game modes, being Dauntless Trials and Heroic Escalations, each behemoth might take only 90 seconds to 2 minutes to kill if you have a proper endgame setup and adequate skill. And a long hunt time would be 5 minutes per behemoth. In the more difficult game modes in Monster Hunter Rise, with the Sunbreak DLC being released this past Thursday, the fastest speedruns I've seen so far on the monsters have been around 3 minutes, with these hunts easily taking 10 to 20 minutes for people who aren't quite as skilled at the game. In the more casual game modes like 10 to 50 escalations and the hunting grounds, Dauntless kill times can be under a minute to even under 20 seconds with an extremely optimized setup. With new master rank gear, this would likely become more common to happen in high rank hunts in Monster Hunter, but with still sub 3 minutes or sub 5 minutes probably being more of a typical standard. And since I've just basically mentioned them all, let's talk about the game modes between the two games. The main game mode you'll make progression in Dauntless is the hunting grounds, which allow you to basically stay on an island for as long as you want, killing as many behemoths as you want to in the process. There will occasionally be special island events in the game mode as well, where you might face multiple behemoths at the same time for some bonus rewards, happening every 10 minutes after the completion of the last event. This is kind of similar to the expedition game modes in Monster Hunter, but with much less focus on gathering crafting resources, since resources don't regenerate over time in Dauntless like they do in Monster Hunter. Expeditions in Monster Hunter are definitely not the main focus game mode, and you'd probably only first find out about them when looking to farm money or research points for the first time. The main progression mode in Monster Hunter Rise is essentially the old Dauntless pursuit system, where you had a predetermined target to hunt, and once slain the hunt is over and you return to the village. You can have multiple targets for the same hunt, and each additional monster will scale the HP of the target monsters down. The Dauntless pursuit hunts don't exist anymore, but they were essentially the same thing. There is a special mission hunt game mode that is the remnants of the pursuit style, but mainly being used for special events. But Monster Hunter Rise will also have rampage quests along the progression paths. Rampage quests are basically a tower defense style game mode where waves of monsters will come at you while protecting the stronghold gates. Generally, there are multiple monsters that will go away rather quickly, and then a final boss at the end of them which you'll be looking to slay before it takes down the gate. These are a bit more of an end of the base game activity, which is great for leveling up your hunter rank as well as getting extra talisman crafting materials with defender tickets. And there's also the arena game mode, where you're enclosed in a small arena with the monster and rewards are granted based on how fast you kill that monster. So with arena, expeditions, pursuit style, and rampage quests, we basically have 4 game modes in Monster Hunter. Aside from the hunting grounds and those mission hunts, Dauntless has a couple other game modes, being Escalation and Trials. Trials are basically the arena mode from Monster Hunter, but there are additional fight modifiers to the behemoths to make it more challenging than a typical behemoth fight. There are normal trials, which can give you good gameplay boosting items from completing them, which are easier than the Dauntless trials, the main incentive of which is cosmetics. For Dauntless trials, you can compete on leaderboards, giving you special cosmetic unlocks for achieving a top 100 time with a particular weapon or with a group for that week. Each trial behemoth will be active for 1 week, and then the next week there will be a new behemoth in the trial arena. The Escalation game mode will set you up against multiple rounds of behemoths, and in between each round you get the opportunity to get stronger through escalation amplifiers. These can be things as mild as gaining 100 extra HP, or as insane as being able to one-shot behemoths with the proper setup. There are 3 variations of the Escalation game mode, being Normal Escalation, Hard Escalation, and Heroic Escalation. Normal escalations are relatively easy and can be done at level 1 with properly upgraded setups. Hard escalations are a bit more difficult, and reaching a threat level of 40 or higher will spawn a legendary behemoth at the end of the escalation. The legendary behemoths can only be encountered in their specific escalations, and defeating them will allow you to craft their legendary weapons and armor. And heroic escalations are what you might consider to be the hardest game mode in Dauntless, essentially being the strength of the Dauntless trial behemoths but with less fight modifiers and having 7 of them in a row. You'll also be able to fight the legendary behemoths in this mode with a threat level of 80 or higher. However, the heroic legendary behemoths have additional movesets and challenges that come along with their fights. The main incentive for the heroic escalation mode is also cosmetics, allowing you to unlock floating crowns based on which of the heroic escalations you've completed. But aside from trials and the arena modes being basically the same thing, each of these game modes between the 2 games gives a bit of a unique flavor to the monster fighting genre. Another pretty large difference between these games is the way you build your character. Both games have perks which you gain through using weapons and armor pieces, with the ability to also put bonus perks onto those items, in Dauntless being cell slots and in Monster Hunter being decorations. However, the variation of things you might put onto a build between the 2 games become very different. In Dauntless, a proper endgame build is basically going to only be comprised of damage and attack speed bonuses, basically the things that will maximize your DPS output. But this isn't exactly the case in Monster Hunter. Not only do you really just not have a good way to increase your attack speed at all, but there are very few skills that actually end up straight up increasing your DPS output. The main ones that do are the crit focused builds, where you add weakness exploit and critical boost and maybe critical eye. There are a few skills that will boost your attack, which would be the power rating in Dauntless, but not many that will give you a % damage increase. Instead, many builds will end up having some specific skills that are tailored to exactly what that weapon might need to boost its DPS by a bit. Bow, for example, you might put on a lot of stamina boosting perks to play effectively. Long swords might want quick sheath, great swords might want focus, etc. Additionally, Monster Hunter has perks that will only do anything on one particular weapon as well, such as Bow Charge Plus for bow. But in Dauntless, you pretty much know most of your build already, usually using cells like Predator, Overpower, Cunning, Pulse, and the main questions of your build are whether or not Adrenaline and or Berserker are good for this weapon, and am I using Catalyst or not. Other than that, it doesn't really matter what you're running, the build will pretty much be the same. Maybe if you're going for slightly off meta building, say using the Tempest Omnicell, perhaps you're going to add in a bit of movement speed, but there are very few circumstances in which your Dauntless build will change, whereas Monster Hunter builds aren't exactly 100% set in stone. And let's go ahead and end off making a clean 5 major differences between the games, our final one being hunt failure. As you progress through a Monster Hunter game, at least for the first time, failing hunts is a real threat. Monster Hunter takes a 3 strikes you're out approach, where you're only allowed to be downed twice, and if you're downed a 3rd time, the hunt will be failed. In Dauntless, you have 3 revives by default, so basically 4 strikes. However, this isn't going to stop you from hunting when you've died for the 4th time. In the hunting grounds, during the main bit of progression in the game, you can die as many times as you want on the island. It's just after the 3rd death, you start needing longer and longer to recover. You can also replenish your revives with supply crates once you've used all of them up. But for escalation and trial modes, losing all of your revives will make you lose the hunt. In Dauntless Trials, and I believe in the Monster Hunter Arena, you have no revives available to you. In Dauntless, your teammates can still pick you up if you've gone down too many times though. This is until the danger meter gets filled, where you won't be able to pick up your teammates anymore. After a little bit of the danger meter being filled, the behemoths Dauntless, and Dauntless will then flee. Dauntless also has the Terra and Radiant legendary weapon abilities, which give out free revives, and for the Terra legendary, it can revive the entire team at the same time. But a huge difference within this system is that in Dauntless, you have that many revives per player in these hunts, whereas Monster Hunter, you're only allowed that many deaths per team. So going down too many times not only punishes you, but your teammates as well. Everybody is going to get kicked out of the hunt after the third death by any player. So you definitely have to tread much more carefully. So there we have it, 5 major differences between Dauntless and Monster Hunter Rise. I could potentially make a part 2 to this if you guys would want, as well as I could make 5 major similarities between the games. But did you enjoy? If you did, smack the like button for me and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And again, I'll be doing that giveaway of Monster Hunter Rise base game or the Sunbreak DLC for one lucky individual who likes and comments on this video. But that'll be it from me. I have been Trevor, I go by the Mr. Trails, and I will catch you guys next time.